Hey everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here, another edition of Off the Top Rope. We have some news to report here. Got to give credit to I think it's Pro Wrestling News, Corey Hayes, who does a lot of stuff over there. This hasn't been amplified by a lot of other people. These guys are pretty reliable. And this is not surprising based off of some of the decisions that have been made in NXT in the last couple of days in regards to their women's division. It looks as if Stephanie Vaquer, after losing the NXT Women's Championship in shocking fashion to JC Jane in the main event of NXT on Tuesday night, it looks like she's heading over to Monday Night Raw. Meanwhile, Jordynne Grace, who lost the NXT Women's Championship match at Battleground, she is going to SmackDown. What a shakeup in the women's division in WWE. And man, like, if you would have told me at the start of the year that WWE and NXT would have the following women in their women's division, you would have Julia, you'd have Roxanne Perez, you would have Jordynne Grace, and Stephanie Vaquer. If you would have told me that 3 out of those 4 women would have been the NXT Women's Champion, and here we are sitting on near the end of May, and all 4 of them would be on the main roster, I would have told you were fucking batshit insane. This just shows you the depth of the women's division, the strong ability and characters of these women in that division, and it also shows you, I think, the amount of faith that, and I know this probably will piss off Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels knows that he's got a talented women's division down there. Zarya is going to be a big deal at some point in that division. Kalani Jordan's been great. Solruka's been great. JC Jane's obviously been around there for a while. She's now the women's champion. You still have Lola Vice, who's going to probably be around for a little bit. You still got Jada Parker. Like, you've got a bunch of prospects in that system where the 4 women that I mentioned that are as established as you can be, they were going to outstay their welcome quickly. Yes, the way it ended for Stephanie Vaquer feels very abrupt, but what was going to be the best way to get her out of there? Like, I told you guys that she was going to be on the main roster before the end of the year. Like, they told you, they gave her two episodes after WrestleMania, back to back. She faced Io Sky, and then she faced Ivy Nile in a match when she was still the NXT champion. Like, you knew Stephanie Vaquer was going to be on the main roster. And with Evolution coming up in July, they have to beef up their women's division. They have to. There needs to be more challengers. I think, Stephanie Vaquer is going to be in a really good position to potentially, challenge for the Women's World Championship relatively quickly. She could be in the Money in the Bank match. Same thing with Jordynne Grace. I actually think Jordynne Grace and Tiffany Stratton sounds like a damn good idea to me. You've got Naomi over there. You've got Bianca Belair. There's a bunch of, and obviously, Jordynne Grace and her history with Naomi, that's a tempting idea too, based off what they did in TNA. So this is not surprising, but it brings up my point of WWE for the longest time could not book their women's division to save their life. And then for a long time, they were booking them as piss break matches, bra and panties, and bikini contests. Now here we are, and then they relied on 4 women to get them through a bunch of premium live events to elevate this women's division. But now they don't really have to rely on those. Charlotte Flair is nowhere near the main event scene. She's potentially doing something with Alexa Bliss. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Becky Lynch is with Lyra Valkyria for a mid-card championship. Bayley is probably going to be involved in that at some point. And you just look at the rest of this division. Io Sky, she came over and she's gotten herself into a situation where she's one of the most over people on the roster. Rhea Ripley, even though a lot of people on the internet don't like her, has become one of the most popular people in this company. Bianca Belair is going to be reportedly back in her hometown of Knoxville on Friday night. So listen, you knew it was a matter of time before Stephanie Vaquer and, with Julia and Roxanne just got drafted to different shows. So you knew these 4 women were destined to be on the main roster before the end of the year. It's just is it jarring that Stephanie lost the title the way that she did? And like you said, JC Jane really hadn't done much in this division for a large chunk of her career since being in, Toxic Attraction. And now she's in Fatal Influence. It's you get a cheap win, you get a shock champion. We'll see where it goes. It's going to give more opportunities to women to, like, open up that division a little bit. Fatal Influence gets a chance to run roughshod for a little bit, and we'll see how long, there's a title run there. There's still a lot of talented people in that division. But yeah, it's just like I look at this, man. It's just you look at what WWE's been able to do with their women's division over the course of time, and you look at look at the example. Look at what's going on in AEW. They're going to have one women's championship match on that show. They have two women's title holders that are both in the same match. And I understand they're the two biggest names, but they tossed aside the rest of the division in the name of building the biggest match that you could possibly do rather than, wait it and milk it and build it up as much as you can. You're microwaving it and you're forcing it and you're just baking it to the point of, okay, it's going to explode right away. Like you don't want to bake a cake and have it freaking explode on you. Like you do the process and, like, it's a science, and it's just like they're forcing this, and it's just like, yeah, I know you could say the same thing that they're forcing, like, these women on the main roster in terms of the four women that I mentioned. It was like, what the hell was there? Roxanne Perez has been in NXT for 4+ years. Even at 22, 23 years old, she's the future, man. Julia, one of the most accomplished, female wrestlers, Japanese wrestlers of all time. Jordynne Grace has done everything that she could possibly do in TNA. Like, who knew she wasn't going to have a ton to stay? She was going to do a couple of big time matches, get that out of the way, and then go to the main roster. Stephanie Vaquer, she's already one of the most over people in the roster, and she's been in NXT for a year. So this is just how you build stars, man. And NXT and WWE has just handled their women's division so much better than AEW. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do at Evolution, because now you have so many possibilities opened up. I don't know what NXT's involvement is going to be in that, considering that they're literally going to have an NXT show the day before. But this is not surprising in the slightest. But I can't wait to see where this all goes. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.